everyone, this is Julia. Thank you so much for joining me on my craft room adventures. Today I have another Challenge a Crafty Friend card to share with you, and we couldn't quite decide on what to do. I wanted a night sky card, Leanne wanted a Christmas shaker card, so we decided to make a night sky Christmas shaker card, and this is what I will be making today. I die cut a hill panel using the Mama Elephant Slim Card Basics die, and I ink blended the top with some tumbled glass. And here I have a 4¼ by 8½ inch panel of Bristol smooth cardstock. I die cut a circle out of masking paper to mimic a little moon, and I'm ink blending the panel with tumbled glass, now salty ocean, just to get a bit of a halo around the moon. I'm leaving that part white for now, until I build up the intensity around the rest of the panel. Now going in with blueprint sketch and then chipped sapphire, just to darken it all up. To get that even darker, I'm now using black soot, just going over the darkest areas of the blue. Just blending the colors back and forth. Now going over it again with chipped sapphire. Again with black soot, just blending the two back and forth. Then I let the panel dry for a little bit so that the colors would set. Otherwise on Bristol, since it's so smooth, sometimes you just end up moving the colors around instead of blending them. So I just waited a minute maybe or two before I started on the second layer. Now I'm also ink blending the tumbled glass around the moon, going back in with a salty ocean as well. Just going over everything to smooth out the edges. I knew it didn't have to be a perfectly smooth blend because I wanted to add lots of splatters. So I just blended the colors a little bit and then it was fine for me. I'm using the Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White for some white splatters, and also the Lawn Fawn Liquid Pixie Dust, just mixed with some water for some shiny splatters. I did realize that I diluted the white paint down too much. It goes on white, but when it dries it kind of takes on the color of the background. So I ended up going back in with a little bit more concentrated white and added a few more splatters that actually showed up white. Just adding a few more here and there. And then it was time to peel up my mask, which is always my favorite part. And there we go, we have a little moon. I stamped out all of my images onto Neenah Solar White cardstock, and for time purposes I'm only going to show one color combo of every coloring, because there are so many images on the card, otherwise the video would be super long, but I did color all of them in exactly the same combos. So for my reds, I'm using R39 as my darkest shade, then blending that out with the R37. And I really like this combo. It's just a nice, rich, vibrant red. More of a pinky red, not orange. Just pulling the color into the center. Now the R35. Again, blending out the R37. Pulling in the color a little bit more. Then going in with the R32, and the R35 and R32 are a bit tricky to blend because the R32 is so much lighter, so I'm just using the tip-to-tip technique to get a smoother transition between the colors. For my gold on the sleigh, I'm using white 28 as my darkest shade, which is more of a brown yellow really, then Y15 and Y13. I did want more of a grassy gold color. For all of the elements on my card that are basically white, I wanted to add some shading, so I'm using T2, T0, and the blender pen. For my greens, I'm using YG67, YG63, YG03, and YG01. In the end, you'll see me switching over the YG01 to the YG61 because the YG01 was just really yellow and it didn't quite go with the rest. The color combination is beautiful, I just didn't like it with the reds and the other colors on the card. But I do use the YG67, then the YG63, YG03, and here you can see it's just really yellow, so I'm just toning that down with the YG61. For my skin tone, I'm using E11, E00, and E000, just keeping it really easy. This is my favorite, my go-to skin color combo for Caucasian skin. Just the E11 as my darkest shade wherever the shadows would be, blending that out with the E00. And then just pulling the color down. And then going in with the E000 to blend everything together. For my hair and also for the wood panel on the North Pole sign and my reindeer, I'm using E20 markers. For the hair, I'm using E23 and E21. I just wanted to keep it simple. For the boys, you don't really see that much. For the girl, I just kept it really simple with just 2 colors. Not that great at coloring hair anyway, so this was fine. Again, going in with my tonal grays, the T2 and T0 just on the white areas. And then going back in with E25 for the darkest shade on the North Pole sign. Then blending that out with E23 and then E21. And I'm also using that combination for my reindeer. I will also be adding in the E29 as well, just to give it a little bit more definition. So I'm just placing down my darkest shade, the E29, blending that out with E25. Sorry, I'm going a bit off the edge there, but I realized it, so now we're back. E23 to blend out the E25, and then blending that out with the E21. I'm also using the E21, 23, and 21 for the antlers. And I'm also using the E25 on the E29 on the hooves. I just cut down an A4 sized clear plastic sleeve because the card was so large I didn't really have a stamp pocket or anything that would fit. And I'm just wrapping the sides around to create a little pocket. I'm just using regular sellotape for this. The tape I'm using, I believe it's the Scotch Magic tape. This was the first time ever doing an infinity shaker, so I really struggled with it quite a bit. And in the end, it doesn't really shake that much because there just isn't any room, really. I don't know how to explain that properly. Usually on a shaker you would create some dimensions so that the shaker elements can move, and this is pretty much flat against the card. So I fiddled it with it a bit, and there is some movement, so it's fine, it's cute, but I kind of expected it to shake around a bit more. I would recommend only using flat shaker bits, just to make sure that it moves. I have some snowflakes and iridescent and silver stars in there, and also some white ones, I believe. Just added them. Here I'm adding a few more snowflakes. These are just white iridescent snowflakes. and then it was time to just tape the pocket shut. I'm basically folding it like I would if I was wrapping a present, just folding in the corners, taping them shut, and then folding the entire panel. Maybe I pulled the sleeve too tight, that's also possible. I will for sure try it again because it's a cute mechanism, so we'll see next time. I just used some double-sided tape to adhere to a card base. I also wanted to stamp my sentiment, which is also from the Northpole Littles set by Hello Bluebird, which all of the images are from as well. It says "Bring on the Merry," and I'm just heat embossing that in silver. So I'm just using my Tonic Tim Holtz stamp platform because my mini Misty isn't big enough to fit the length of this panel. I just stamped it in Versamark ink, and I'm using the Ranger Superfine Embossing Powder in silver. Off to the side, my heat gun was already heating up, and now I'm just melting the embossing powder. I added some score tape to the back of the hill and just placed it on top of the pouch. And then I'm using some red and white twine and liquid glue to adhere the reindeer and the sleigh basically together. There I thought I wanted to use a paper backing to protect my work surface, and then I realized that I would probably glue them to the paper permanently, so I would rather clean my glass mat, which it was like 2 seconds. It came off so easily, so no worries there. Now just placing the sled on there as well. I also added some foam tape to the back of my little critters and the Santa and the sleigh. I did that off camera so that it would be easier to adhere them to the card. And now I just laid them out like I wanted, approximately. And now I'm just removing the backing pieces of the foam tape and placing my images down. Just one at a time so that I can adjust how the piece of string looks. Just flipping them over. I removed all of the backing, but I'm careful not to press down because this is a plastic cover over the card panel. You can peel them up pretty easily, so it wasn't a big deal. I just moved them a bit further down, making sure that there's some movement in the little string. And then I just glued down the gift boxes with some tape runner. Also placing them, some of them basically like tucked in the snow, just to set the scene for the rest of my little images. My North Pole sign goes to the left, and also a tiny little gift and also another gift box. And then it's time to add my elves. I didn't end up using Mrs. Claus because I did find that the elves looked cuter there. We'll find a use for her for sure. The reindeer that just said, "Not this time, I'm just chilling today." So he's just there, enjoying his time while the others have to work. Just pressing down the images, making sure everything is adhered. And now it's time, as usual, to add some shimmer. I'm using the Nouveau Aqua Shimmer Pan in Glitter Gloss and just generously coating the bows on the gifts and the gold parts on the sleigh, also the Santa hat, the little collars on my reindeer, the nice list, the white areas on the gifts, and also just basically most of the card, really. Now I'm just using Stardust Stickles, and I'm using a pretty heavy coat of this on the Santa hat and also on the little, what is it called, the little baubles on the ends of the hats for the elves. Adding more shimmer pen, I mean, because why not? Now I'm just adding the stickles there. And also adding that over the basically icicles that are covering the snow that's covering the North Pole style. More shimmer pen, obviously. And for the sleigh, I wanted the top to be covered in gold, so I'm using Nouveau glitter drops in honey gold. And that finishes off my card for today. I really hope you liked this one. It was a ton of fun. Down below, I will link to Leanne's video. She makes such beautiful cards, and I'm sure she made a fantastic Christmas night sky shaker card. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so very much for watching. On screen, I will link to 2 more videos that may interest you. I hope to see you next time. Bye!